Akshay Marathe, you've caught yourself in a bit of a spot. You were setting the narrative over the last 10 days, but yesterday there was a foot-in-the-mouth moment where your party leader Arvind Kejriwal spoke of what he's spoken of very often, a fake voter list, but attributed that fake voter list to people or an influx of people coming in from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar.
PTG, thank you for having me on your show. Let me start out by pointing out that the Bharatiya Janata Party is extremely envious of the kind of support that Aam Aadmi Party receives from the Purvanchali voters of Delhi. And the reason that Aam Aadmi Party gets their exclusive attention and patronage is because I have been following Delhi elections as an Aam Aadmi Party member from 2013 and before. I want to remind you, PTG, that before 2013, when Aam Aadmi Party first came into the electoral scene, there were only 2 or 3 Purvanchali MLAs in Delhi. And Aam Aadmi Party, for the first time, gave 13 MLAs. That is the kind of political revolution that Aam Aadmi Party brought when it comes to Purvanchali representation in Delhi. And why not, right? They represent a large section of society in Delhi. Why should they not get political representation? And you compare that with the Bharatiya Janata Party, they have already released more than half of their candidates for this election. Not a single Purvanchali has got representation. So how can the BJP claim to want to represent such a large community when they don't want to give anybody share of power? Let me finish. That is just the political part of it. Now let's come to the socio-economic and cultural part of this question. When the Aam Aadmi Party came to power, there were almost no ghats available for the people of Purvanchal who like to celebrate their festival, the Chhath. And in the last 10 years, we have created 1,000 and more Chhath ghats for them to be able to express their, cultural roots, for them to be to feel like Delhi is their home. This is a very emotional issue. It is not, let's not reduce it to...
But, the kind of water that flows on the ghats that they need to take a dip on, Akshay Marathe, is a separate story. Not speaking of right now. We're not going to debate that. But allow me to ask you a counter. Allow me to ask you a counter. Akshay Marathe, there was the statement which was made by Arvind Kejriwal. Is there a clarification on it? Because he categorically stated that there's an influx of fake voters being brought in from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar.
No, let me answer it in 2 parts, PTG. I think anybody who has lived in Delhi for the last 15, 20 years, especially if you are from Purvanchal, you will remember the kind of vitriolic statements that somebody like a Vijay Goyal, who has been a Rajya Sabha MP of the face of the Delhi BJP for several decades, he had once said that we should not allow anybody from Purvanchal to settle in Delhi because they live in jhuggis, they live in dirty areas, they make Delhi dirty. That is the kind of mindset that the Bharatiya Janata Party has had for Purvanchali voters for several decades now, which is why they're not taken seriously by the Purvanchali voters. Okay. But when it comes to what Arvind Kejriwal said yesterday, I want to clarify. Arvind Kejriwal was talking about electoral malpractice. What did he say? Let me remind you. He said that between 22nd December and 8th January, a very short period of about 15 days, 13,000 new voter applications have been made by members of the Bharatiya Janata Party. That is obviously a very suspicious thing. Are they bringing their cadre from neighboring states? Is that what is happening? It's a very important issue. We need to get to the bottom of it. That's what he was referring to. There was no question in anybody's mind that he was talking about the general migration of people from UP and Bihar. They are welcome. This is their city. They have made the city. They have built the city, and nobody can stop them.
But the reason that we are all here discussing it, the reason that Akshay Marathe is going into such deep, a conversation to explain what his chief minister or the Delhi chief minister said, explains the importance and the credence of how important the Purvanchali vote is. Therefore, Tuhin Sinha, the fact is, no matter how hard the BJP, tries, you haven't been able to actually invoke the Purvanchali in what in Delhi largely works as a migrant or on the basis of class lines. Why I say that is, look at the figures in terms of the voting percentage. Yes, you draw quite a bit from the Purvanchali vote bank, but so does the Aam Aadmi Party. And that despite Tuhin Sinha of having top leadership, like Mr. Tiwari, you have a Manoj Tiwari, who at one point of time was touted to be the chief ministerial candidate of Delhi.
Well, good evening, Preeti. Good evening, everybody. Today, the way things stand, Arvind Kejriwal is not just an enemy of Purvanchalis, but he's an enemy of the entire population of Delhi. But when it comes to Purvanchalis, we have seen how he abandoned them at the start of COVID lockdown. We have all seen, the way he had virtually abandoned them at the Anand Vihar terminal, and they were left, they didn't have anywhere to go. We have seen how in the last 10 years, people have abandoned celebrating Chhat Puja on the Yamuna, on the banks of Yamuna. They rather celebrate it in their homes. This is the condition. You are talking about Purvanchali votes. Delhi Northeast Lok Sabha constituency has the maximum number of Purvanchalis. Do you think we will win with such a robust majority 3 times over successively without the Purvanchali support? But the point is,
would you like me to
let me just complete my point.
Would you like me to get into the dynamics and the data of the Lok Sabha constituency when translated into a Vidhan Sabha constituency voting pattern is very different to Hinsina?
The only reason why Arvind Kejriwal had been succeeding in the assembly elections was because of the 3Bs. But today people have seen the entire fiscal anarchy, the fiscal mismanagement in the last few years. Besides one important point, yesterday, he made a very mischievous statement when he tried to paint that all the new voters which are being added are fake voters from Uttar Pradesh. And, I know for a fact, I've seen it personally, many of the recent settlers, they go for voting enrollment at the last minute, and this could be happening in all parts of Delhi. To put it entirely on fake Uttar Pradesh and Bihar voters, that is, those are the words which he used, is a very mischievous statement by him. And it happens on a day when he had anyway raised the Jat issue and tried to play caste politics. I think people like Arvind Kejriwal are a blot on this country. After all the freebie politics is played, this is the last attempt to invoke region and caste into his politics.
All right, and by the BJP picking up on the same, you're not doing so. It's par for the course. This is politics, Tuhin Sinha. It's open season. Everyone's going to leverage and use what they can. But Shama Mohammed, the fact is very clear on this, that the Aam Aadmi Party, has understood that it needs to bolster its presence where the Purvanchali vote bank is concerned in the national capital. And they've been seemingly doing it. I'll give you reasons. They've brought in the likes of an Arvind, Mr. Ojha, fighting from the seat of Patparganj, where they're seemingly trying to appease to the Purvanchali vote bank, taking on what is an Uttarakhand vote bank of the BJP. Their strategy involved trying to get a large vote bank onto their side. The Congress seemingly is devoid of any electoral strategy to appeal to, leave alone one vote bank, but to appeal to the voters of Delhi.
I totally don't agree with you, Preeti. The voters of Delhi have understood one thing. Sheila Dixit ji was there as the chief minister for 15 years. The first 5 years, it was the BJP central government. She spoke, she had no issues with the lieutenant governor. There was, of course, a BJP government, and she knew how to sail through. Now, here you have the Bharatiya Janata Party puppet lieutenant governor, and you have an Arvind Kejriwal, who is always, every other day, is doing tutu meme. I mean, isn't there a way for the people of Delhi to just speak to the lieutenant governor, come to some sort of reasoning? I mean, for example, last year when he went to jail, my simple question was, why did he not give the baton to somebody and make someone a CM? He thinks about himself. His thoughts does not involve the people of Delhi. For example, Hemant Soren also went to jail, all right? And he was also accused of corruption, which none of us agreed on, now the opposition parties. But he gave the baton to a CM, made somebody else a CM, because he is concerned about the people of Jharkhand. But here is a man, it is about me, and only me. Now, every other day we always are asked, why are you going against Arvind Kejriwal by the opposition parties? I want to ask these opposition parties, Arvind Kejriwal, what did he say the other day? Ye kaun hai Congress? Congress ek choti moti party hai. Let's not forget that. Who is Congress? Nobody gives any importance to Congress. You know, that's the thing. And the Bharatiya Janata Party, who keeps always accusing us, oh, you are having issues with your India alliance partners, I want to remind Tuhin Sinha one thing. You in Meghalaya was in government with NPP. What did you do? You fought elections separately. What did Amit Shah say? Sangma, the chief minister, and NPP is the most corrupt. Listen to this. And he was accusing them of corruption. After the elections were over, they won 2 seats in Meghalaya BJP. What did they do? They went back to Mr. Sangma and NPP. So the difference between us is that we are not a hypocritical party. We got in flyovers, we got in underpass, we got in the metro, we got in the CNG buses, we had pollution under control, we had infrastructure development with a budget of 33,000
but that's the problem, Shama Mohammed. As I bring in
crore, and they have nothing to show.
As I bring in our other 2 guests into the conversation. No, the problem is that because the Congress seemingly has the legacy of Sheila Dikshit to offer, which an entire generation has absolutely no idea about. What is new that you're offering is the big question, and I'll circle back to that as well. And you speak of the Congress being a choti-moti party. Shama Mohammed, the Congress pan-India footprint.
That is what Aam Aadmi Party is saying.
I know. But Shama Mohammed,
I'm talking about what
I understand. That's what I'm exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because nobody can deny the large footprint that the Congress has across the country. But when it comes to Delhi, you are at 4%, where 2020 elections were concerned. That would be the best benchmark to judge a political outfit, ma'am.
No, I'm sorry to say that. That's not the way somebody, suppose you're in the India Alliance, one person cannot keep saying Congress ko kaun dekhte hai, Congress kaun hai. Why is Arvind Kejriwal speaking in that tone? And a simple question to Akshay sitting over there. They keep comparing both the mahals, but it didn't Arvind Kejriwal come and say that I'm an Aam Aadmi party, I'm an Aam Aadmi? Why didn't the Aam Aadmi not give the baton to Gopal Rai? He was a senior leader. He could have been made the CM at that point, or even in September.
All right.
No, because Arvind Kejriwal is very
we're going to come back to that. But, all right. I want to bring in our other 2 panelists into this conversation, Ashutosh and Rajat Sethi. Ashutosh, to bring you in, somebody who knows Delhi, somebody who's actually fought an election in Delhi, would know the importance of the Purvanchali vote, Ashutosh. And we're going to focus on the Purvanchali vote before we move on to the Muslim factor. And the question is, Ashutosh, do you think Arvind Kejriwal made a mistake by what he said? Because it's an emotive issue. The BJP has been very quick to catch on it. Will they be able to cash in on it?
See, Preeti, I think this is oversimplification. Just because Arvind Kejriwal has made certain statements, that doesn't mean that the entire Purvanchali Samaj will not vote for the Aam Aadmi Party. I think that's not going to happen. This time, the election will be tough for the Aam Aadmi Party. I've been saying it for a very long time. Issue is because there is 11 years anti-incumbency against the government. So the promises made in 2015, promises made in 2020, how much the Aam Aadmi Party has delivered, that will decide the fate of Aam Aadmi Party. About these Purvanchali vote, the Jat reservation and all that, these are just the side issues. The main important issue is the performance of the government. And as I've been saying, like in 2024, if Narendra Modi was the issue in the election and the voters decided whether they want to vote for the Narendra Modi or they want to vote against Narendra Modi. Similarly, in Delhi Assembly election, it is the Arvind Kejriwal who is the issue, and if people like him, still they will vote for him. If people don't like him, they will not vote for him. Rest is immaterial in this election. It is the K factor and the Kejriwal factor that will decide the elections.
Well, there is no doubt. It's a referendum on Arvind Kejriwal, this way or that. But Rajat Sethi, to bring you in on the issue of the Bharatiya Janata Party not being able to capitalize on what has been their essential vote bank, be it the middle class, but talking about the Purvanchali vote. The BJP is known across states to socially engineer their voters, to get the caste calculation dynamic spot on. What is it, according to you, Rajat, that they're not being able to do in Delhi? Because they've tried successively. They tried to bring in Mr. Manoj Tiwari. It did not succeed the last time around. What is it that they're doing wrong?
So most of your assertion, Preeti, it's up till the last assembly election. I do not foresee that same sort of analysis that you're doing holding right now. Right now, when I'm reading Mr. Kejriwal's face, I see him as a worried man. You look at his utterances, because at the start of this show, you said that they had been, holding on to the narrative for past 10 days. I believe over the last 10 days, their narrative has been consistently slipping. You look at Kejriwal today, first of all, he was worried about voter deletion, and he made a big, huge hue and cry around voter deletion. You are an MLA of New Delhi, and I'm living in New Delhi, and I can tell you, can 13,000 voters literally be imported and put into a constituency? Were you sleeping? What were you doing when these 13,000 voters are coming in? Where are they coming from? Do you not have an iota of understanding of your own constituency? So this is a very, very, very bizarre claim. If these voters have been consistently moving out, coming in, he should have been the first man to, hold things very closely and studied his constituency very closely. You can't come out and suddenly say that, oh my God, 13,000 voters have come out. Is it a joke or what? It's not a small number. This is why my reading is that Kejriwal, since people are saying that it's a referendum on him, New Delhi constituency is a tough constituency for him. The Patparganj constituency was a very tough constituency for Sisodia. Sisodia left that constituency and moved out. And Kejriwal is now in a fix. If he loses this election, there is a fair chance that his political career can come to a halt. And I think this is what is weighing him down in his utterances, his slips. And BJP, of course, in the leg of the election, if you utter such a mistake, BJP will, pounce upon it. And they're doing that. So you can't discredit the BJP for pouncing on an electoral opportunity that they got. Whether it will impact the results or not needs to be seen. But at the heart of it, the root cause of the problem is 20 seats where they had to change the ticket. Most of these people will either go into the Congress or will ensure that some of the votes slip away from the Aam Aadmi Party, and a mere play of 4 to 5% going away from Aam Aadmi Party is going to make the entire election very, very close and very interesting. Therefore, it is not a done deal, and Arvind Kejriwal is therefore a visibly worried man.